Next up, we have Danielle, who is standing in place for Fiacre Ryan, who couldn't be here today. And Danielle, who's going to talk to us about using augmentative and alternative communication. Danielle's been very busy in the background doing most of the work for this event. So I'm glad you're taking the time to come and present to us as well. So thanks so much, Danielle.
Deadly. Thank you. Thanks, Erica. Just confirming you can see my screen there
Yeah,
now.
perfect.
So today is a little bit of a different one, okay? So this is not my words. So essentially, I was recently in a personal capacity at a book launch. For the book I have here called Wired Our Own Way, it's actually a compilation, it's an anthology of Irish autistic writers. And I was there on a personal capacity, and there was this fantastic young man who was there. And he's got an essay in this book as well. And I can put the link to the book if anyone wants to buy it. I'm basically promoting it now. I'm telling everyone they should get it. But I was at this event and this young man spoke. And it is his name Ryan. And I had to reach out to him after the event to see if he could share his story with us today at Gather because he is a non-speaking autistic young man and he uses an alphabet letterboard to communicate. And he was there with his speech partner, who was his mum, and they had a fantastic story to share. And I'd really recommend you read all of these, to be honest. But his story in particular is called Poetic Justice. It's about him finding his words, and it's fantastic. So anyway, all this to say that Fiacre actually just finished his exams and is away on holidays at the moment, but he sent over a presentation that he did for me, and I'm going to read that out. But you can see his own words are here. I have uploaded the presentation to the website as well. If you do want to read his own words as well, it is available there. So I am going to be just presenting Fiacre's words to you about alternative and augmentative communication. Okay, so this is titled Speechless but Not Voiceless by Fiacre Ryan. So there's a lovely picture of Fiacre there sitting in the garden, and there's a quote up the top that says, "There once was a boy who tried to speak, no words joined him, so he stopped trying." Okay. And the words say, "Good morning, everyone. My name is Fiacre Ryan. I'm 23 years old and I come from Castlebar, County Mayo. I am a non-speaking autistic. I use an alphabet letterboard to communicate and to articulate my thoughts." So I'm going to be reading these now. There's a lovely picture there of Fiacre as a young child painting. If anyone remembers putting down the newspaper to save the kitchen table, I'm the same. So this is about his early education. So he says, "I was diagnosed with autism when I was around 3 years of age after my parents noticed that I was not speaking or socializing like my sisters or other children the same age as me. After years of therapies and interventions, my speech had still not developed, and I was diagnosed with nonverbal autism, a mild to moderate learning disability, and ADHD." The next bit is about his primary school education. There's a quote that says, "Education is about being taught, and I was steeped in knowledge. Teach us appropriately, and everyone can learn." And there's a lovely picture of Fiacre showing some artwork he did. And he says, "I attended a mainstream school about 10 kilometers from my home in a small autism class. My teacher, Breed, had endless patience, and she certainly needed it for me. She always believed that I was listening and learning and included me in all the lessons, even when I was messing around or bouncing around on a therapy ball. However, I still had no way to show how much I knew." There's a quote that says, "My life is totally transformed since I learned to communicate. I started letterboard training at 11 years of age after many therapies didn't work for me. My parents and a group of other autism parents paid for a tutor to come to Ireland from the US to work with 6 students and their families on a new method of communication." It hasn't been easy with daily spelling practice and many obstacles to overcome, but it has been life-changing for me and my family. I started to access age-appropriate lessons and enjoyed having books read aloud to me each evening. And you can see on the screen there is a picture of what looks to be Fiacre pointing at an alphabet board while they are possibly baking. So that looks fun. The next is a picture or a screenshot of an iPad with some text on it. Fiacre writes, I saw this image on social media and it sums up the difference learning to type is making in my life. I'm still learning to type independently with one pointing finger, but I am slowly developing this skill with daily practice, generating my own text in my poetry and writing. And the picture reads, operating pictures on a board brings you a cheeseburger. Typing lets you create the menu. That's a fun little quote. The next is some pictures of Fiacre learning to type. So there is an image of him exploring poetry on a Zoom webinar, it looks like, and just a picture of him sitting in front of the laptop showing all the work that's gone into it. And another quote from Fiacre saying, autistics like me do not usually stay in school. Okay. And then the next bit he says is in second level school, when I wanted to do state exams, my parents had to fight for my right to sit the exam. I later successfully completed my Leaving Cert with the support of the exam accommodations of a reader and a scribe as the first non-speaking student in Ireland using a letterboard and AC, an achievement that I'm very proud of today. I think I can interject there and say that is fantastic. Really great. The next one, Fiacre writes, I am challenged to fit into a world with no rest. Interesting quote there. And believe that nature restores my weary soul. He writes, I love being in nature because there I can rest in just being. Nature is my friend, and I love walking on the beach, hiking, swimming, and horse riding. My interests are the same as any teenager or young adult, going bowling or to the cinema, going to football matches, helping on the farm or in the garden, and listening to music. And there's a lovely picture of Fiacre sitting by what looks to be a lake, looking very contemplative. The next is about his TV documentary from RTE1. He writes, I was asked to take part in a fly on the wall style documentary about living with autism. And this award-winning program was filmed over 8 years, which I scripted myself with my own writing and poems. It tells the story of our family and how we all cope in individual ways of living with autism. The next quote is, a life ambition can be achieved, dare to dream. And he writes, my struggles, my hopes, dreams, challenges, and ambitions are documented in the book Speechless, Reflections from My Voiceless World. I was asked by Marion Press to write my life story, and my ambition was to communicate my intellect, my thoughts, and my life reflections in my writing and poetry. My book, Speechless, was nominated for Best Newcomer at the Unpost Irish Book Awards. I have continued my writing with a poem highly commended in the Allingham Poetry Competition and a winning short story in the Christopher Fiennes UK Creative Writing Competition. That's great. And we also know, I think this was before Wired Our Own Way came out, but he's got an essay in there too and some short bits of poetry. The next slide is a picture of Fiacre standing outside a sign for Atlantic Technological University in Mayo. And it says, a new challenge, ATU Mayo. My pathway to third level education. I applied to go to college after my Leaving Cert. The course of my choice was creative writing, and I was promptly refused, which turned out to be ironic when I became a published writer the following year. Meanwhile, I heard about a special admission scheme in ATU Mayo in Castlebar. I had to show what I had studied and achieved, and then we discussed how I could access the course. I was thrilled to be offered a place on the history and geography course. This produced a new set of challenges for me, but with support, I have just completed my certificate exams. That's fantastic. The next slide has an image of Fiacre with a brain imaging measurement tool on his head, I believe they're called. And it says new research on autism. There are a number of current research studies into autism using technology and new methods of assessment. As you can see in the picture, I have taken part in a research study from Cambridge University called Hidden Cognitive Abilities in Non-Speaking Autism, using brain imaging to measure language processing in non-speaking autistic students. Dr. Alex Wolgar, lead researcher, has informed me that the study will be completed later this year, and a subsequent study using brain imaging to measure responses while listening to a podcast or audio is being developed. There's a quote here now. It says, a message from Michael J. Fox, who has Parkinson's. This message is so simple, yet it gets forgotten. The people living with the condition are the experts. Great quote from Michael J. Fox there. On the last slide, Fiacre says, I still have autism, but it no longer defines me. I'm now defining my own life, changing attitudes, one letter at a time. And he says, thank you for listening, Fiacre Ryan, AC user. So I really thought that was a great presentation to share with you guys. Obviously, it would be better if Fiacre was delivering it himself, I'm sure. I hope I did him some justice with my delivery of it there. But he is a fantastic young man and really interesting. I loved learning and I loved that he was able to contribute something for us. It was really him. As I said, he just finished his exams
Yeah.
and is away on holidays now. So it was very kind of him to contribute something to the event today. And I really think it's really vital and important. He's a fantastic young man. And if you couldn't tell already, he definitely has a flair for the poetry. He's such a
Yeah.
fantastic writer. So that was a great, I loved reading that.
Yeah. And such a great story too. Just things that have been accomplished.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you put the link to the RT documentary. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And lots of people saying incredible book, highly recommend. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm almost like a bookseller here today. I'm like,
Mm,
go buy the book. But genuinely, it's such a good book. And I
yeah.
really love the message about listening to the lived experience. And it's something that here at Ahead, we really prioritize is that making sure that, okay, when you're talking about autistic people, you're talking to autistic people and things like that. So it's great.
Yeah. And I'm
So,
one that's saying the movie's better than the book. Those
yeah,
people, the book or the movie. But I really enjoyed the movie. I haven't had a chance to read the book yet, but the movie's really amazing. So the link is there as well in the chat, as well
there
as
you
the link for the book. So multiple means, whatever way you choose. But I think they're both amazing. And it's so good to hear the story. Like listening to the stories, I think is something that's often missing from these kind of technology events where we just focus on the latest technology, what's new. And a lot of times, like Danielle says, the voice of the people that need these technologies are misplaced or left out. So it's wonderful to hear the stories as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're so delighted. So big thanks to Fiacre. And I hope he's enjoying his holidays. But big thanks for contributing that. It's really valuable.
Yeah, and thanks to you, Danielle, as well for reading out the story and
I
being
hope I did some
delighted.
justice now.
You did very well, very well.
Oh.
I was getting a bit emotional, so I was glad my camera was off there for a few minutes.